Hello. Is this working? Hello. Good morning, guys. I'm going to be talking about my trip to Africa. If you guys got any questions while I'm giving the presentation, raise your hands and then I can talk to you. Okay, so this right here is the Nema Village welcome sign. Okay, so when you're going into Nema Village, you have the main road, and then you have the side road leading up to this sign. Now, the road leading up to this sign is really, really bumpy. Okay, really, really bumpy. So it's horrible, horrible. Okay, so this right here, the founders. Okay, so Michael and Doris are the couple in the middle. They founded Nema about 2011, 2012, because Michael had wanted to start him and his wife an orphanage for babies and such, because over there in Africa, Tanzania, they don't have any baby orphanages, because when they wanted to start Nema, they were told that it would be impossible because babies are too expensive. So they were like, well, we're going to just leave it up to God and he's going to help us. So then the first picture too is the is kind of the road that they kind of fixed up going into Nema, kind of where the sign is. And then the lady with the baby is their daughter, and she also helps with administration and stuff. So usually half of the year she'll be there while they're in the States visiting their family, and then they'll come and help while she goes and visits her husband back in the States. So yeah, so that's that one. Okay, and then this is the kind of their mission statement. It's a baby home, a mothering center, a free daycare, and they're about rescuing abandoned, orphaned, at-risk babies, reuniting children with extended families, and promoting in-country adoptions. Now, when they talk about the reuniting, about in-country adoptions, it's because they cannot adopt outside of the country. If there's, say, like someone's wanting to adopt a kid in Tanzania and they're from the United States, that just doesn't happen because the Tanzania government's worried about people not coming back or all their people leaving and nobody's left. I know it's weird, but that's how their thought process is. It would be nice for them to adopt out of the country because they have plenty of babies that people could adopt, but you know, and then the risk, yes. It's going to be Mothers Against Poverty. Mothers Against Poverty. And so what they do is they restore the restoring part. They hope to restore women through education, business opportunities, parenting skills, daycare assistance, and spiritual guidance. So that's kind of part of the MAP program. So they bring these mothers in, they do like interviews and see if they're good candidates for helping them. So just to make sure that they're not trying to scam Nema Village or trying to just get money so they can just have a good time. So they want to really make sure that they're really wanting to change their life and become a better person and that kind of thing. So a lot of times they'll bring the women in and they'll have them do like education, and they'll take like women's classes for women's rights, and they'll talk about that. Then the relearning part, they basic health and stuff. So they will help these mothers with basic help and basic needs and stuff. So then once they become on their own and become sustainable, they'll visit them every once in a while and help them, give them money, that kind of thing. So this right here is the buildings right here. So this building right here, you'll see right here is the place that we stayed. So like I stayed there, the other activity people stayed there, and then that's where we would have all our meals too, like together as a group. And then this right here is where all the MAP mothers would stay, that they would help in NEMA. So a lot of times they would have some people, some mothers, they would have stay here for like rehabilitation, that kind of thing. So yes, sir.
How long could a mother stay there?
I think they stay there until they are able to live on their own. Yeah. So it's like in a little apartment where they have roommates too. So like two moms might stay in there, you know.
Would they have to have their children with them?
Yeah. Yeah. And sometimes while the mothers are doing their thing, whether it's like going to work or something like that, they'll have the nannies also take care of them. There's a couple mothers like that where the nannies will have the babies too. And then this right here is the church right here, where we have all our their church meetings and stuff like that on Sunday, and if someone's going to get baptized and that kind of thing. Now, I know you can't see it, but kind of in front of the church, there's a whole bunch of picnic tables where we would do our men's classes for the maintenance guys. And then every Sunday they would feed the kids of like the neighborhood and like the moms of the neighborhood. So we would make a huge meal, and then we would serve all the mothers first and then the kids. And it was like the kids from like the community, like right there. So yeah. So there's like a couple streets and side streets and that kind of thing. No, it's like right in the middle of, and so what NEMA's also done with those people around the village, they have provided them with clean drinking water. So they have like, I forget what it's called, but big water mains or whatever it is out there so they can have clean water. And because a lot of times if you don't have clean water, you have to go to like a communal place and with a bucket and all that stuff. But here they don't have to do that. They can just go there and get water. So yeah. And so this right here is the main baby house. So this is where all the little babies stay. And they have like the little tiny babies that are like isolation. They have a room for isolation babies. They have a room for like toddlers and crawlers and that kind of thing. So what we would do is we would go in, and there's also administrative building too. They're the administrators. They stay there too as well. So this is the outside of the Mothers Against Poverty building. So here's the outside. Now, once you go inside, there's like offices and stuff. Then this building right here is going to be kind of past that building off to the side. So like I was saying before, that's where the mothers that they directly care for on site would be living right there. I think, let's see, I think about 6 or 8 mothers are over there, if I remember correctly. Because their mission is to get them well prepared for living on their own. So they kind of do that there. They have like sewing classes and all sorts of skill building opportunities there. So they like to educate them and then try to get them out there so they can bring more people in. And then so right here, my favorite part is my schedule. My schedule. So a lot of times, every Monday would have the same schedule. Every Tuesday would have the same schedule. So like here I got like Thursday. So for a lot of the time, you would have breakfast at 8 o'clock. Now, if you didn't go to breakfast and wake up, you wouldn't get breakfast. You'd be out of luck. You'd have to get it yourself. And I didn't want to do that. So I woke up every time so I could get breakfast because it was delicious. It was all like organic stuff. It was great. It's delicious. And then a lot of times after that, we would either do like a little school with the children at the main mother baby place. So we would at that point feed the babies and take care of them and that kind of thing. So, but this school right here is kind of off by that church building I showed you guys. And that's where we would like kind of sit down, they would sing songs and we would kind of do like an educational class for them, whether it was like just singing or like, like messing with shapes and toys and that kind of thing. So, and then the Bible class there, we would do like a little Bible class with the babies after that. We would sit down and they would show us, different shapes and which colors they go in. And we would sing them like little baby songs for like Jesus loves me, that kind of thing. And then so the next one with the little school, that's the school that I went to that's offsite, but they still kind of take care of a little bit. And me and my aunt would read books, read books to them, which they loved. They loved it. It was great. So when you see prepping PB&Js, me and my aunt had to make PB&J sandwiches for all of them, give them suckers and juice boxes and that kind of thing. And then usually every day they would do the singing with the nannies if you wanted to. See, all this stuff, they'll let you do it if you want to. Like, they're not going to force you to follow the schedule. So if you feel like, maybe I'm not comfortable with singing with the nannies, because a lot of times singing with the nannies, they would get you up. One nanny would be on the drum, banging the drum, and then you'd be walking around and around, singing and dancing and stuff. Well, my aunt, she, we weren't really big on the dancing part. So we weren't very into that. But we did it a couple of times. It was fun when we did it. It was fun. But, I got kind of tired out after a while. So after that, then we would feed the babies lunch. So now you were able to pick which baby room you wanted to go in and feed. If you felt more comfortable feeding like the older toddler group, you could do that. But what I found out is the nannies, they like to feed with like a soup spoon almost. It's a big spoon. And it's just absolutely horrible feeding these toddlers soup spoons because their mouths are like this big. Mouths are like this big. So what the nannies would do is they would go like this with the kids and then just like scoop it in there. And so I was like, my uncle and I, we tried our best not to get it all over the place, but it never worked out very well. Because they had this like puree stuff that we would have for lunch. They would puree it, put it in a bowl, and then give it to the kids. So it was really hard. So we ended up just feeding the babies because it is a lot easier just to bottle feed. It really is. It really is. And so then after that, we would have our lunch, and usually it would be whatever the nannies and such are having. So usually it would be like something they would usually eat. But they were always really good. It was always really, really good food. So it was never really bad. The most interesting food that they ate was banana soup. I had never had banana soup before, so it was very, very interesting. So then that's when, after lunch, we would go and do our men's class with the maintenance guys. And, you know, a lot of times on the website, they won't have that. They won't have like, hey, we also help the maintenance guys. But that's also a big part of their mission, is to also help the maintenance crew that work for them. Because in that society, you know, women are taught to do everything, are told to do everything. And so these men need that kind of spiritual guidance as far as what a man should be and what they need to be for their wives. So it's a very important step. So when there's male visitors, they usually will have them do Bible study with these guys. So that's what my uncle and I did every day after lunch, almost. Then after lunch, in that Bible study, a lot of times we would have like a little free period where we would either go in town or we would visit other mothers in the program that live off-site. We would go visit their where they live, what they're doing, where their businesses are. So we would do that, or like if there was a baby we needed to pick up from the hospital or something like that, that's when you would go.
When you went off-site to visit people who had their own businesses, typically what type of businesses are we talking about?
Oh, like, well, some of them were hairdressers, so some of them did hair, and then other ones made clothing. There was one lady who really liked me a lot. She made soap. She made soap and stuff like that. So, but then some of them also make jewelry and stuff like that. So, but there was one lady that made this drink called sugarcane juice. So she would put the sugarcane in a press and then press it and kind of put like lemon and ginger and some other stuff in there and make this like sugarcane juice. It was like juice and it was really good. So yeah. Yeah, so that's what their goal is to get that going. But they also visit them, and then if they need to, they also will give them money too. You know, so a lot of the donations, some of that donating goes to the mothers as well. So they don't just like leave them high and dry. It's a, hey, we're gonna visit you every so often, see how you're doing. You know, making sure you're doing okay. That type of thing. So it's always a pretty good deal. And then, like I said, you know, you would pretty much help feed the babies, lunch, supper, all that kind of thing. So, yeah. So this right here on the left-hand side, you'll see that's the rehabilitation building. So there they have like all the disabled kids that are kind of younger or older. So they end up helping a lot of disabled kids because they're in Tanzania. Being disabled is not looked at as a very good thing as far as like men are concerned. Because a lot of times a man will leave a woman if she has a disabled kid. So a lot of them need a lot of extra care. So they have a building designed for that there. And that's also where singing with the nannies would be. That's where the drum dancing and stuff. So it kind of helps give the kids some vocalizations. They're able to, you know, yell and scream and do all that kind of stuff. So, and then this picture is that schoolhouse I was talking about that's off-site. And that's me reading jump, frog, jump. Now, with the kids, they seemed to know before I knew what was going to happen. So they probably have read that book before, but it was very, 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 very good. They were well behaved. And then that's when we would give them the PB&J sandwiches and the suckers and the juice boxes. So I would read, and then our activity coordinator, she would do the translating. Even though these kids, I don't think needed the translating for my book. It was pretty straightforward. So, and then that's me in the baby room feeding the babies. So, like I said, it was a lot easier to feed the babies. Because I always thought it was the roughest time, but seeing the nannies feed the toddlers, I was like, no, babies are the way to go. Babies are the way to go. Did I not have another? I didn't have another picture, but that's kind of like the main focus of Nema Village. So, I mean, if there's any questions, though, I can answer a whole bunch of questions. You want any questions? I got time. For the most part, yes. Over there, they do have Muslim nannies. They do employ some Muslim nannies. Now, before anybody comes over there, they do sign a paper if you're wanting to volunteer. That usually says, hey, you know, we're a Christian organization. You kind of have to align what we're doing. You know, if you can function fine with what we're doing, then you can come as far as that goes. And then when they're interviewing for nannies, I'm pretty sure they put that in there too. Like, hey, you know, we don't care that you're Muslim, but this is a Christian organization, so we're going to teach our kids about Christ and Jesus and God and all that kind of stuff. So they have a lot of Muslim nannies too. But what's nice about Nema is they'll also take care of them. So like if there's a Muslim holiday, they'll give it to them off. They'll say, you know, we'll give you all your Muslim holidays off. But then they also let the other nannies have the Muslim holidays off if they want. But they also give them an incentive. So they get like double time if they want to work on those holidays. Because there's a lot of Muslim holidays. So. How
big is it?
It's really big. I don't know the square footage, but it's big. It's at least a mile. That I'm not sure. I just know they pay them really, really good.
So those buildings there, are they all donated money to build it?
Yeah. So a lot of times, they've had a couple of volunteer groups come in and say, hey, we want to build you guys a building. We want to pay. So one of those buildings, they had an architect group from a college come in and say, hey, we want to build this. You know, we're students. We want to build you a building. So they ended up raising the funds and then building them some buildings. And I don't think they do get a lot of government help. The government likes them, really, really likes what they're doing because it's helping Tanzanians. So I'm sure they're probably getting a little bit of government assistance, but a lot of it is fundraising and that kind of thing. So they do a lot from fundraising.
This is right in a town?
Yeah.
What's the name of the town?
Arusha.
Okay. How close are you to the wild areas?
Oh, wild areas? I would say a good 20 miles. Like in town, it's not really wild. It's not wild. There's no lions. There's not even any monkeys, you know. So, you know, you really have to go off site, really, really off site to find any monkeys and stuff. So.
Go back to your first slide. Show us on the map whereabouts in Tanzania.
Yeah. Okay. Let's go back. Okay. So, right there we go. Okay. So let's see, where are you, Arusha? I found you. Up here, right here. That should be Arusha right up there, I think. I'm pretty sure that looks like it. That looks like it. That looks like it. So it's about right there. So it's about a couple miles away from actually in town. So it's kind of off the beaten path a little bit, but because like I said, you got a main road going into Arusha, but then to get into Nema, you've got this like dirt road that has tons of holes and it's absolutely horrible. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. They're completely booked all the time. So during my time there, um, the administrators would eat with us on supper, lunch, breakfast. So a lot of times, Kim, their daughter, would tell us about stuff and about day-to-day operations and that kind of thing. Well, a lot of times they'll have people try to say, "Hey, I want to come a couple months from now. Can I come?" And she has to tell them, "No, you can't because we're completely booked. We have tons of people already, so we don't have any space for you." So, well, thankfully for us, we didn't have to wait as long because during this time, there's not very many volunteers during the winter time. I guess a lot of times, mostly it's more summertime that they get a lot more volunteers. Well, no, I guess it's just, yeah. So, yes, sir.
Now, Mark was over there and working, and she's been there for 5 years.
Yeah.
So she's staying at that village. What does she do? Position?
Well, she helps with sponsorship activities and stuff. She does a lot of whatever they need her to. So will go and look up supplies and be like a supply manager at some point too. She'll do a little bit of that. She'll do a lot of some fundraising and that kind of thing. But then she also does stuff with the volunteers and so. But she's also full time there as a volunteer. Now, what's nice about here is that none of the funds that are raised go to paying Mark. Like Mark doesn't get paid. The founders, Doris and Michael, they don't get paid. And then their daughter don't get paid. So it all goes into the village, helping the babies, helping the moms, helping all that. So it's nice that nobody's taking money off the top, because a lot of organizations, they like to take money from the top and be like, "Hey, I'm going to put this in my pocket," So. So they have like a little pasture that they have there, and they'll have a service every Sunday with the pastor, and he'll come in and they'll do like singing and Swahili and stuff, and also they'll sing it in English too. They'll sing it in English as well. Yeah. 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 So they have a building with chickens and cows, and so yeah, they get a lot of their milk from there, and then the eggs are farm fresh every day, and it's and then they have their own garden, and they have fruit trees all over the place too. So it's a very, very nice place, so.
Are these women that come in here, are they single women or married women? Or?
Well, a lot of the times they are single because a lot of times the men have left them. A lot of times it's, "Oh, you have a disabled kid. You've birthed me a disabled kid. I want to disown you because you having this disabled kid is looked at as bad karma. It's oh, there's something wrong with you. I gotta leave. I gotta leave. So a lot of these mothers have disabled kids.
And then when you go in church, then you have an actual church service like we have here.
Yeah. So they'll do communion every Sunday, and they'll do the singing and then the prayer, and then the Swahili preacher he'll preach. But if there's volunteers there, he'll do it kind of like in English half and then in Swahili half. So it's a very nice. And then they usually bring the kids too to the church services as well. So they have mats where they'll put all the kids, and the nannies will come and do all that and stuff.
What do the men do? Why do you do their thing?
The maintenance guys, they also participate in the service as well.
Ladies, husbands, men, folks to make money.
Oh, a lot of times they'll do like in-town stuff, like construction or other kind of stuff. But a lot of the time, the men, they just don't do much at all. Usually the women are the ones doing everything. So they're the ones making the money, doing the stuff, doing the housework, so a lot of times the men are just pretty much worthless over there. You what? What?
You mentioned that the kids is more about adoption for what if a young fellow went over there and found himself a wife? Would that be something you could bring back home with you, or
Oh, you'd
I heard somebody was presented with that situation.
there in Tanzania, you would have to probably live there because Kim, their daughter had kind of like is going to adopt this gal that named Maria that she really wants to adopt. Well, she can't get visas out of the country. She can't. A lot of times they're not letting her out of the country, even though, she's Tanzanian and they'll come back and they're part of this organization. So there's just no way to really do it outside of the country. Now, they did have a couple where they were born Tanzanian, but they lived outside of the country and wanted to adopt. So I think they're letting that slide, but for the most part, you have to be Tanzanian, and a lot of times you have to live there.
So when you went over and some gal would have to propose to you, you'd have to stay there?
Well, she did propose to me, but I had to come back.
So
But
if you said yes, you have to.
yeah, because she probably wouldn't get a visa, no. But she also had a disabled kid too, and her husband at the time. Why I say a lot of the men are not very, very well educated and very treat people well is because she had like 5 kids. And he ran off, took the other 4, and left her with a disabled kid all by herself. And a lot of times that happens because the men are like, well, that's bad karma, that's bad. I don't want to deal with that. So they'll just leave. And that's kind of like with the I guess kind of like the tribal mentality is out there. And a lot of the babies that they get at NEMA too are because the mothers died in childbirth. So a lot of the tribal men, they won't take care of the kids. They'll just come over to NEMA, say, hey, we got this baby, mom died. Can you take care of it? And a lot of times they'll take it in. So it's that thing where, a lot of times men just aren't very nice over there.
So, say that the guy dropped off. How long does NEMA take care of this child? So, they're looking for somebody to adopt them?
And most of the time, they're looking for someone to adopt all these kids. So a lot of times, they will be adopted. A lot of times, kids come in, they'll get adopted and go out. But if it doesn't happen, they will raise them up to a certain point, and then they'll point them in the right direction as far as a new facility. Because over there in Tanzania, they have other facilities for older kids that NEMA also partners with. So they'll help them with that.
I know Maria had
Yeah, so usually those men, you usually don't have any contact with. But the way they are affecting the men is through the maintenance crew, because the maintenance crew is all men. So, and so they're able to really affect kind of the culture through these maintenance guys, because these maintenance guys take the word of God that we preach to them, and then will go back and use that as. Now, of course, not all Tanzanian men are going to be horrible fathers or whatever, but a lot of times that's how they are, is they'll just kind of just leave the kids, leave them on. Because we had one Mothers Against Poverty lady we went visited, and her husband just left her because, oh, I found a prettier girl. And then, she had a kid with him and just up and leaves, So it's, but they also will go into the Maasai tribe villages and try to also take care of those women too. They'll go in and try to educate them or that kind of thing. A lot of times they'll give them like birthing kits, for helping them give birth and stuff, and they'll have like a Bible and in there too, and that kind of thing. So they try to go out and outreach to the Maasai tribes as well that are out there. That I'm not sure of, but I'm sure they're not. I'm sure they're not resentful, because I think a lot of times they just move on to the next girl. Because a lot of these women that they're helping are all single. They don't have any husbands, because the husbands left them for one thing or another.
Is unwed marriage or unwed birthing a common thing?
That I think so. I think that does happen. But a lot of the time, like, that'll happen, and that's when NEMA will get a call from the hospital saying, hey, this person just dropped off this baby, or the baby was just left on our doorstep, or they'll get a call because one baby was even left in a latrine. And so they were like, hey, could you take this baby, And they were like, yeah, we can. And so a lot of times they'll get those calls where a baby has just been dropped off wherever, and the police in Arusha know NEMA Village. So they'll contact them and say, hey, we found this baby, So a lot of times babies are also left in weird places, and NEMA gets called to come and take care of them, so. There probably is, but I'm sure a lot of them, they don't really care. Yeah, exactly. Abstinence would be the best policy, but I think a lot of them, as far as caring about it, I don't think they really care all that much, because some of these Mothers Against Poverty ladies have also been raped and stuff a lot of the time. There's a lot of bad stories that we were told that it's like, they try to get up on their feet and then they're taken advantage of and all sorts of stuff. So I don't think a lot of them really care about birth control as much. And as far as from the women's side, I don't think a lot of them are able to afford the, like birth control pills and that kind of thing. So. Yeah, because they also have like a board of members that, decide on things and stuff, but they get a lot of donations and stuff. So, but, they always, every time we would eat, they would always tell us, we were always told that it was going to be super expensive to do this, but we just put it in God's hands, and he's been leading us and giving us what we need to take care of these people. And you can really see that. And then what's nice about the Mothers Program is all these moms that we visited, they were super appreciative. They were really like crying and all this stuff. Like they were super appreciative and humbled and just full of love, and it was really heartbreaking because it's like, these are all nice women. And then all these, men are just leaving them for stupid reasons, Like I told my coworkers when I got here, if I was born in Tanzania, I probably wouldn't have survived. I probably would have died. Been left on my own. So, but in Tanzania too, there are a couple places that we did visit that do employ disabled people for different things, like making quilts and stuff. So they do try to help disabled people in some aspects, but for the most part, as far as culturally, it's not looked at as a good thing to have a disabled kid. So not so much, no, not in Tanzania anyway, as far as that goes, because the government, no matter what type of government it is, whether it's Muslim or Christian, they really appreciate what NEMA's doing for the people of Tanzania. So they're really, really appreciative. So they don't really cause them any trouble.
Is Tanzania majority Muslim, majority Christian, or both?
I think it's definitely a mixture of both. Yes. Our volunteer coordinator, she was Muslim, but then she converted to Christianity later, and I got to visit her Lutheran church that she went to. And so there's a huge, large Christian presence, but there is a bunch of Muslim presence as well, because a lot of people from the Arab countries also live there because they're selling goods and services and stuff. So that's where you get a lot of those type of religions. So it's very. But Sarah, with the money coming in, they have such a good funding and outreach program that lots of people get to hear about them and stuff like that. So they have a lot of people fundraising in the States. And so like my aunt, when she comes back, she'll be going to like the women's conference and having like a table there so she can, do more fundraising and stuff. So there's a lot going on. And then they have volunteers all the time. So when you have volunteers from all these colleges, they come in, do a whole bunch of work, and then they take it home, and then they get college. They probably get a lot of college money too. So yes, most of the time for lunch, it would be whatever the staff would be eating usually, So the greens were made how they would eat it. Like I said, the banana soup, never had that before. That was good. It's just, they would take green bananas. They would put they would cook it, and then it would kind of turn into like a potato kind of consistency. And then they would just put like stew meat and carrots and that kind of thing. That is the recipe. It's pretty much just stew meat and carrots and stuff, and then green bananas cooked. It's bananas, yeah. Because when you cook the green banana, it kind of softens it up, kind of turns it more into a potato, but it tastes so good. Yeah. So we have, they have chickens on site. So they eat a lot of chicken, a lot of beef, that kind of thing. Rice and beans is a big thing. They do a lot of rice and beans.
Goat?
Not so much. They're at the village anyway. They're at the village. They only eat goat once in a while. Like the goat that they had there, they had it around Christmas time. So,
There's a picture, I think, on Facebook about termites.
yeah,
Bugs.
yeah.
Do they serve a lot of bugs?
No, the termites is just a delicacy thing. They don't feed them. They don't eat them a ton. It's just something fun to try.
Did you have any?
I did. It was good.
Termites?
Yeah. They pretty much took the legs off and then put them in butter and salt and then fried them up, and it's just like popcorn. It was great. But on a more serious note, though, the trip was very spiritually uplifting for me. It was very, very spiritually rewarding because being over there, you were able to really engage with people and change their lives. You know, Nema had started doing that already, but once you get there and they see your commitment and they see you helping, they're super appreciative and, you know, very nice. And like the maintenance guys, you know, when we did our Bible studies, they would ask questions and stuff, and they were really interested. And, you know, because at first they give the incentive of you get 30 extra minutes of lunchtime if you come to the Bible studies. But what we found out is they're really very engaging. So it was very, very humbling. And then the kids, you know, they are always craving attention. You know, they were always craving attention, and it was nice to be needed, you know. So it was very, very, I'm very blessed to be here. Because over there, it would have been horrible to live over there. A lot better here. Here, Jerry, eventually, yes. But because it cost a whole bunch of money, I don't know when, but well, that's all I got. So.
Thank you.